Okay, now the next question which comes to our mind is, how does the nervous tissue causes action? How does the nervous tissue causes action? We have done the voluntary actions as well and involuntary actions as well. Okay, reflex action भी हमने पढ़ लिया और हमने voluntary भी पढ़ लिया. But we are still confused how the nervous tissue, the mechanism of collection of information by receptor, its transmission by CNS, how will it move the body? Clear? So, movement is done by muscles, that we are quite clear about. And how do these muscles move? Whenever the information is received at the terminal part of what? Our neuron. When it goes to its axon part, may it be a reflex action, may it be a voluntary action, what the axon does. Axon part, terminal part, axon part, where the synaptic knobs are present. These synapses with what? With the membrane of muscle. Then when the nerve impulse from CNS, it reaches the muscle area, this area where it forms the synapse, the muscle fibers show movement. How these muscle fibers can move? Because muscle fibers are made up of proteins. And these proteins, these change their shape. So when the proteins will change the shape because of the action of CNS that has come, automatically a new shape and a new arrangement is made, which causes movement and action is performed. Clear? This is how the muscle tissue or the nervous tissue causes action. After this, now we move to control and coordination in plants. This much we know, that how this control and coordination is seen in animals. But what about plants? Do they show any kind of movement? We are still confused in this question. Yes, there is coordination in plants by using certain stimuli, by using hormones, or by showing certain movements of the body, which we call tropical movements, nastic movements. So this is coordination in plants. Plants coordinate by the way of hormones, that is called chemical coordination, as well as by movements. That can be the turgor movement, nastic movement, or tropical movement, which is in response to stimuli. These movements can be growth related, cannot be growth related. So when they lack nervous system, they generally do not respond so quickly as animals. Instead, they respond to various stimuli by the action of hormones and by the action of movements. Talking about plant movements first. These movements are of two types, nastic and tropic. Basic difference क्या है? These are non-directional and these are directional. Being non-directional, these are non-growth related. These are growth related. Okay? These takes place within fraction of time. That means takes very less time. These are time consuming. Right? Now, These are non-directional. These occur due to turgor changes. That is turgidity of water accumulation in the leaves or in the stem or nearby epithelial areas. That is the turgor pressure, turgor changes, and do not involve growth. These are the three main characteristics. Out of these, we say first is seismonastic. seismonastic, seismonastic movement, which occurs in response to touch. You remember touch me not plant, that is Mimosa pudica. We call it Chuimui also, Lajwanti also, sensitive plant also. When we write any biological nomenclature name, we have to separately underline it. There are certain specific rules of nomenclature, remember? Whenever we write names, we start with the capital letter of the genera and we start with the small letter of the specific epithet, that means species, and we separately underline them if we are writing like this. If it is to be printed, then it is always in italics. Nomenclature that is studied in class 9. So Mimosa pudica, also known as Chuimui plant. What happens when we touch its leaves? It immediately droops and fold up. Why? Because while doing this, the turgor changes occur in the leaf where no growth is related, but plant cells change shape. Why do they change shape? Because of the changing water level in the cells. Why? Because amount of water is reduced. Then what happens? Leaves fold and droop. Okay, these are the conditions which occur. When we touch these leaves, water which is present in this pulvinous area, this is pulvinous area, ultimately it will move to the nearby cells. The water accumulation here will move to the nearby cells, and when water retention is no more there, the changing water level, the amount of water level which has reduced, will allow it to fold and droop. How? Because the water is no more present, so this will become tender and thin and ultimately will fold in any of the direction. It will droop in any of the direction. It will slowly regain the same. Once the conditions comes back to normal, this pulvinous area will regain water and again the plant will become turgid. So this is a phenomena known as thigmonasty. That means a nastic movement related to touch. So we call it thigmonasty. Second is nyctinastic. In this nyctinastic condition, we say it is the diurnal variation in the position of flowers and leaves. Where is it is observed? Position of flowers. It is observed in the flowers and leaves position in day and night. इसको sleep movements भी बोलते हैं. These are further of two types, photonasty and thermonastic. ये क्या होता है? This is the duration, the variation which occur during the controlled light direction. It means here the stimulus is light. Example, dandelion flower. What happens to dandelion flower? It opens up during the daytime. Why? Because it is morning bright light होती है उस time पे, and close during the night time. Why? Because at that time the sunlight fades. Then is thermonastic, temperature. Thermo is the word for temperature. Position of plant parts like flowers and leaves by the changing in temperature. Like we say the positioning of sunflower according to the direction of sun. Temperature in the surroundings. This is a non-directional movement but is an example of thermonasty. This is again non-directional but photonasty, that means light. Moving to tropical movements. Tropical meaning growth related, directional. Tropic movements. Now, all these movements which are growth related, which are directional, which occur in response to stimuli will come under tropical ones. So, the types of tropism that we study here are phototropism. Photo stands for light. That is direction, where the direction is light. Then second one is Chemotropism, that means touch. Geotropism, that means gravity. Chemotropism, chemical induced changes. Hydrotropism, water induced changes. Okay, so photo, thigmo, geo, chemo and hydro. These movements, if these are towards the stimulus, stimuli, we call them positive tropism. If away from the stimulus, we call them negative tropism. Now, taking up one after the other. First, we are taking this phototropism, that is the direction of plant part in effect of light. Phototropism. A very beautiful phenomena when we see that we have two potted plants. Okay, we are going to keep them in two different directions. These are the two potted plants that we have. Here, one is kept in open, which receives sunlight from the top. Means the sun is overhead and it is receiving sunlight directionally all above the plant area. Clear? Coming from above. While the other one is kept in a room near a window such that it receives sunlight only from one direction, that is the window. Okay, where we have kept it. After some days, what do we observe? We observe both of them. We will notice that the first one, it will keep on growing straight upward towards light. However, the second one, it will show a different phenomena. Means it has grown by bending towards the direction of light. This will be the observed phenomena in case of second. Why? What is responsible for bending? The sunlight. As the name suggests, phototropism, so we think the sunlight is responsible for doing it, right? The thing is, here is a hormone which is responsible for this entire process. Which hormone? This is a hormone related process, auxin. In this, the first one, when we say the potted plant which is kept in direct sunlight, this is the sun which is overhead, and this is the stem, the apical region. Okay, it will start growing upright. Why? Because the oxygen, it diffuses uniformly down the stem in the plant. This is auxin, which is diffused uniformly. Why? Because it was kept open in the sun and receiving sunlight from above. So during this time, this auxin is distributed equally in all the parts of the stem, and stem grows straight upward because both the sides have shown same growth pattern. It is growing upwards. But when the second plant, we talk about the second plant, it receives light only from one direction, this particular one. So here sun is in this direction. Automatically the auxin will move from the tip of the stem and concentrate more on the shaded area, the area which is not receiving sunlight, because sunlight तो यहाँ से आ रही है, इस direction से आ रही है. So this area which is not receiving the sunlight will grow faster than the area which has received sunlight. How come auxin present here? ऐसे नहीं होता कि बिल्कुल ही यहाँ पर प्रेजेंट नहीं होगा. सम ऑफ द ऑक्सीजन विल डिफ्यूज ऑटोमेटिकली फ्रॉम अ ग्रेटर एरिया टू दिस लेसर एरिया, सो इट विल ऑल्सो रिसीव ऑक्सीजन बट इन अ very less amount compared to the one where it gets accumulated, and slowly the stem will bend towards the direction of light, and we will observe this phenomena. This will ultimately lead to this kind of structure. All right, where this, because of more growth, will automatically cells will grow more and will shift towards the direction of sunlight, because this is the side from where the sun is coming. From this side sunlight is coming, so automatically this stem will bend towards the direction of light. This is the directional movement which is observed in case of phototropism. All right, this area will grow fast compared to this side because of auxin. Auxin is a growth related hormone which will help in growth of plants. Related to it, we will talk about the directional movement due to growth in response to touch, which we call Chemotropism. Now, whenever we say that there are weak stems which need proper care, so this is directional movement of growth related to touch. Here we say we need a plant, pea plant, like it has a weak stem. It will need support. So what the tendrils will do? These tendrils, we observe, will coil on the support. Tendrils will coil upon the support and will keep growing like this. Pea plants develop tendrils, help it to climb other plants, fence, or maybe a rope. Now these tendrils which we have grown, these are sensitive to touch, and as soon as they come in contact with the support, ये support है, as soon as they come in contact, the part away from the support grows faster. This area will grow fast. Again, this is the support, and the area which comes in contact, ये इसके contact में आएगा, will not grow speedily, and this area which is away will grow speedily. As a result, tendril will circle around the support and cling to it. This is also by the action of auxin hormone. Why? Because more oxygen is diffused from its site of synthesis towards the site of tendril away from the support. That is, the side which is in contact with the support will show less oxygen, and here this area will show more oxygen, and ultimately it happens because the oxygen always diffuse to an area where the stimulus is not present. स्टिमुलस की opposite साइड पे हमेशा हमारा ऑक्सीजन accumulate होता है. Clear? And this will also help in growth of this side, which will circle around the support, and this will help in showing us a different phenomena that now the tendril is coiling around the support. Third phenomena, that is in response to gravity. We call it geotropism. Geotropism means I have taken this potted plant where I'm showing that it is growing upright, and the root is growing obviously towards the direction of gravity. This shoot will show positive phototropism, this root will go negative phototropism because it is growing upward and this one is growing downward. Now, this is growing in a transparent glass jar so that we can see the stem region as well as the root region. We can observe it. And as what have we observed is this is showing positive phototropism and this one is showing negative phototropism, but positive geotropism. Now, place this horizontally on a side on the ground and now observe the position. So what am I going to do is I am going to tilt the plant. After tilting it, what am I going to observe? That this is lying down like this on the floor. This is the root area and this is the stem area. Clear? How have I placed it? Horizontally on the ground. When it is observed and kept for few days in this situation, we will notice that what basically happens here is this plant will grow in this manner. That means from here it will start growing upward. The stem will bend upward and show its growth like this, and roots, these will bend downward. This one. Why? Because we know only two tropic movements, positive and negative. Positive phototropism, negative phototropism, or we can say positive geotropism. So roots are growing towards gravity here and shoot is growing upwards towards light. And whenever we take out this plant from this glass jar, we observe this bending phenomena. It is concluded that the root of the plant has bended downward towards the earth, showing positive geotropism. And the experiment confirms the presence of or the response of plant part towards gravity. This is how the plant parts, it grows towards gravity and shows geotropism. So this is by the action of various plant hormones. It may include oxygen also because that is also at the root tip as well as along with the shoot tip. Moving to response of plant called chemical or the chemotropism. Now, chemotropism. Chemo, as the name suggests, chemical. Okay. We all have heard about pollination, right? And we say the right stigma of the female reproductive part, that is carpel, secretes a sugary substance, the chemical in the style region. From where is it secreted? From the ovarian part. Okay, and this sugary part, it will get diffused on the tip towards the stigma as well. Now the pollen grains which fall on the stigma respond to this sugary substance, And generally one pollen grain becomes successful in elongation of its pollen tube. So what will it do? It will elongate its pollen tube towards the ovarian region. And this successful elongation to reach the ovule in the ovary is to ensure fertilization, right? Reaching the ovule part. This is a pollen grain. And this is the pollen tube, which elongates in response to this sugary substance that diffuses upward. Will happen due to this elongation of pollen tube will happen due to the secretion which is secreted here, and this will ensure fertilization in plants. So basically, what is chemotropism? Chemotropism is the response of pollen grain to grow its pollen tube to the sugary substance or the chemical stimulus. Sugary substances are chemical stimulus secreted by the stigma of the carpel of a flower, and the response of a plant part towards a chemical is known as chemotropism. So automatically after pollination, fertilization will be achieved, and to ensure fertilization this chemical is required, which will allow the pollen grain to generate this pollen tube to gain access or entry into the ovarian region so that it can fertilize the ovule. This is called chemotropism. Now talking about hydrotropism. Hydrotropism means response of plant part towards water. What do we have? We have a trough, a glass trough which contains water. This is another one. Okay, I have taken two glass trough. This is A and this is B, filled with soil up to 2/3 level. चलो ये हमने soil इसके अंदर डाल दी. More or less we have to imagine that we have put soil in it. Okay, now and here in trough A we planted tiny seedling. ये रहा हमारा tiny सा seedling that we have kept here. We also do the same in the second one, a tiny seedling. But here in A, we make it a habit that we water the soil daily uniformly. So what are we going to do is we water it every day. We water the soil every day. And here I have placed a small clay pot which contains water. Containing water, and I put water every day in this clay pot instead of watering the soil. So we have to observe the phenomena for few days, and after few days what do we notice? That we dig this seedling carefully, and to our surprise here the growth is observed completely, that the root of the seedling is straight, but in trough B the response is on the other way round. That means the stem is growing upward undoubtedly, but the root of the seedling is growing towards the direction of water. These are not straight as in case A. Such a directional response of root of seedling in trough B, because the water which is fed here regularly, that is made available to the plant, which helps it to grow straight downwards. On the other hand, in trough B, the roots of the seedling only gets water that oozes out of the clay pot. whatever is present here coming out of the clay pot. So the roots of the seedling grow by bending towards the direction, because whatever the available water, the root has to reach there. Whatever the available water, the root has to diffuse to that area. That is only available if the root will grow towards that direction. Therefore, the root of the seedling grows by bending towards the direction of clay pot. And this experiment reveals the response of seedling towards water, which means hydrotropism. So B shows hydrotropism in a manner that the roots grow towards the direction of water. And here also roots growing towards the direction of water, but water is made to reach each and every part of the soil uniformly. Here it is not uniform distribution. Here it is oozing out of the pot, and that is made available to the roots. Therefore, the growth is observed in the form of a bending root region. That's all about tropism. Thank you.